tell us how, when it first happened, you were fully on board.
Well, I think they rolled it out to the healthcare workers.
First off, what were you doing?
I was a registered nurse in emergency.
Okay, so to start again, you were fully on board. Explain.
Well, being a healthcare worker, I believe that they rolled it out to us early. I think that if they hadn't have got the healthcare workers on board, nobody else is going to take this experiment, are they? I don't know. So...
And you said in other countries they did the healthcare people last?
Well, they didn't do them first. So as soon as they did the vulnerable, which we all thought it was just going to be the vulnerable, they then went after us. So they went after us straight away. So we were that 1B group. If we didn't take it, no one else is going to take it.
Yeah.
You know, the resistance would have been huge. So if you can imagine if they'd gone after general public first and there was a huge amount of resistance, there's no way the healthcare workers would have taken it.
Yeah. Interesting point. Were you frightened of it at all?
Well, I missed the memo that it was actually an experiment. That was hush-hushed very quickly. I've since seen the videos of Greg Hunt announcing that, you know, this is the world's biggest experiment. They've never done this before. It's actually an experimental vaccine and they've got no data. So...
If you'd seen that, what would have happened?
Well, if I'd seen that, I would never have put myself up to be a guinea pig in a worldwide experiment, for a start. But yeah, I didn't find out until after I'd had both shots.
Okay, we'll talk about how you came to get the shot, that story you said of the person coming in.
Yeah, so it was the first month, March of 2021, and, you know, they were getting their staff to, you know, encouraging their staff by, you know, saying it's all safe and effective, we've done all the testing, no mention of it being an experiment, no mention of it, you know, being rushed through, no mention of any of the animal studies dying, there was nothing. And any of the research that you had or any of the questions you had, they said, oh yeah, here's the information, they provide it to you. Or if you went onto the computers at work, there'd be little icons that you would click on. It was all controlled information, you know, and no one has time when you're that busy in emergency. You don't have time to go and research. And why would you question or not trust your own employer, Queensland Health, your own government, and the World Health Organisation? I mean, that's crazy talk. So, yeah, March 2021, our boss, the head of our nursing team, the nurse unit manager, would come and she would ask for hands up before each shift, and hands would go up, you know, this person, and that person. Come with me, like cattle, come with me, let's go down to the vaccine clinic at the hospital and have your injection. So this was happening every shift, every day for weeks and weeks and weeks. And if you didn't want it or you had questions, you were offered counselling until you either got it or you stepped away. There was only one worker that I know of out of hundreds of staff that refused. Everybody else got it. And there were young women who were concerned that fertility testing hadn't been done and were crying. They were crying before they had to get it, and they balked. I know one particular young girl, she balked at the idea of being forced to have this injection, and they ended up counselling her after the fact, days and weeks later, and got her on board, and she's now fully vaccinated. So it's heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking that this has happened.
Okay, so what happened after, say, your first year?
It was about a week, I think, maybe 2 weeks later. I was okay. Oh, sorry. Woke up 12 hours later with the worst pressure in my head. I don't want to call it a migraine because I don't know what that is. It just felt like brain swelling. The worst ever. and feverish and like I'd been hit by a train. We went to work and we were all working through this and every symptom was normalised. Oh, that's okay. That means your immune system's working. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, I got a headache too. It's fine. Just go and take some Panadol, Nurofen and maybe some aspirin and you'll be fine. And this was literally for weeks and weeks and weeks. So if you had any side effects, you were offered pain relief and told it was perfectly fine. Don't worry. It was about the second week I was walking through a car park of a shopping centre and I got really short of breath to the point that I was actually coupled over and I couldn't get any air in. I felt like I was gasping for air. I've never had any breathing problems at all. Severe chest pain, left-sided chest pain. I thought I was having a heart attack. So I went inside, managed to get to a chair. I sat down in the seat for about 15, 20 minutes. It resolved. The lightheadedness, the dizziness that was there as well, it all resolved. I ended up going to work and they triaged me because I happened to be talking to one of my colleagues about it. And they thought it was a bit unusual, they better check it out. And everything came back normal. I wasn't having a heart attack and I didn't have a blood clot. So, and it was, I was just one of many. I don't know about with co-workers, but one of many. I mean, I saw so many patients coming in with chest pain.
Really? Talk about that. What age groups and genders?
Oh, look, both genders, all ages. So as the months progressed and the general population started to be vaccinated, I was like carnage. It was like carnage. And after my second vaccine...
Well, before you go, when you say carnage, like, were they saying the same symptoms, headaches, or was it just hard?
A lot of cardiac problems. So a lot of shortness of breath, so much chest pain, unbelievable amount of chest pain. It was unbelievable.
Were your colleagues saying that this is something strange? Or were they just going, this is normal?
Well, we get a lot of chest pain anyway. The only difference for me was I'd already had similar symptoms. So I started asking people, have you just been vaccinated? I was asking everybody that came in.
And?
On the quiet.
And?
And the only common denominator between all these people over these 3 months that I was there for, between July, August and September, was they'd all just received some sort of vaccine in the and I was seeing everything. Heart attacks, blood clots, early pregnancy loss, my first case of shingles.
How long of how many early pregnancies?
4 in one shift.
Oh. Oh my Lord.
Yeah, so
4 in one shift?
yeah, and 2 of them that I had asked had been vaccinated. Yeah.
So you're seeing all this, the denominator was the vaccine, but you had the second?
Yeah. So I didn't actually start to...
Is there anything you want to finish before you get there? Because...
Oh, no. So I had the second one.
Why did you have the second one?
Well, because the threats of losing your job were already there. So...
and you weren't in a position to lose your job?
Well, I didn't know the bigger picture at that point. I hadn't really started doing my own research. Crazy. But I didn't really know exactly what was going on. So I waited about 3.5, 4 months before I had my second one, and I was actually feeling fine. I felt like I was back to normal. My health had returned, and then in middle of last year, I went and had my second one, and I was fine for about a week, and then it hit me, and honestly, I thought I was finished. Gone. The pain in my head had returned, but next level, and that pain just went everywhere. It was like every cell of my body was on fire, like my body was burning from the insides. I was dripping with sweat. I was red all over. I couldn't think straight. There was like this, it felt like something was moving in the back of my head, like a ripple of water or something was going between my left and right ear. It was bizarre, I know. It sounds like I'm a nutcase, but that's all I can describe it like. And I described it to my partner as I've just been injected with a toxic poison. They were the two words I remember using. And he was looking at me like, what? Because he was still thinking it was all legit. Yeah, and I just said to him, I'm done. This is it. I'm finished. I'm going to die. And for 3 days, I kept crying. I was just a basket case thinking, what have they just done to me, you know? And I knew at that point that something really bad was going on. So it was then I started asking.
Did you have heart issues as well?
The chest pain didn't start again until a couple more months later. But it was just that, and I kept checking my temperature and I kept checking everything. And there was no way I was going back to hospital. Why would I go back to the hospital that's just tried to kill me, right? So, I just started asking all these patients, every patient that came in, if I had the opportunity, in your nursing assessment, they come in and when you get handover from the QAS team or when they come in as a new patient, you do this assessment. So you take a history, you're doing all their bloods and their observations, and I got really good at asking whether they were vaccinated. I just chuck it in at the end, have you taken any new medications, have you done anything new? Anything changed for you? No. And just the recurring theme for all these people was that they'd all received this vaccine. And I'm thinking, okay, days are going by and I'm seeing all these different presentations. Some guys are coming in with cellulitis in their legs. Another guy had cellulitis in his face, both in the same shift. One guy said to me, everything's been fine until I got the vaccine. And I said to him, what one did you get? And he said, I got Pfizer. And I said, and that's it? That's the only difference for you? And he said, yep. And I went, maybe you should not have any more. And I was thinking, you know what? If this is my only way to tell these people, I've got to tell them. So I just started saying, don't have any more. It was carnage. Yeah.
But what was happening to you?
Well, the pain kept getting worse. The pain kept getting worse. It was so bad. And I was just taking pain relief just to get through my shifts. And then, and then I started doing my own research. And then what I found was that we were in this mass experiment, and that the government and our health department had basically lied to everybody. And it was so heartbreaking because I'd watched all of these young girls, all of my colleagues, so it's devastating. But yeah,
Finish that. You watched all your young colleagues.
I watched all my young colleagues go and get this experiment, and I went into the break room and I said to them, we're in this mass experiment, right? That they've got no data, and I had a lot of them unfriend me on social, and they couldn't wrap their head around, it's crazy talk.
It sounds crazy talk.
It's crazy talk, that your government is doing this, and yeah, a lot of them just couldn't face what I was saying, and I was so angry.
But they were seeing what you were seeing.
Yeah, but unless you're asking these patients that are coming in, you're not making a connection. So if I'm the only one asking and nobody else is asking, then nobody else is seeing it. Because this is all normal presentations for them. We see all of this every week. But I knew it wasn't normal, and I had no way of proving it. All I had were the clinical trials, which suggested to me that they hadn't done any testing, and they hadn't done any fertility testing, which was the thing that was, for me, the most devastating thing, because all these young women were being pushed into this experiment without the data. And they were saying to them, it's safe. And I'm thinking, what? This is just an out-and-out lie right now. It's a complete lie. And I ended up having to take some sick leave. But just before I went on sick leave, I was chatting to a colleague, and I was so angry when I went in, and I said, I'm so angry with Queensland Health. I'm so angry with them. I cannot believe that they've done this to all of us. And that they've sold it like they've done the data, like they've got the data ready to show. And she's looking at me like, what? And I said, I don't care about me. It's not about me. It's about all of them. And it's crazy. But it's, yeah, I went through a lot of, a lot of emotions last year, because I knew that I could not continue to work in a place that had had no regard for their staff, and I couldn't work out how far up the chain the knowledge went, or how far down, I should say, because it starts at the top, and they all know. And how far down did it go? I mean, did our nurse manager know? Because I've been told since that they didn't want to have the injection.
Wow.
Like, how far down the chain did it go? And are all these people, are they in on it? I don't know. But I can tell you now that a lot of the healthcare workers still have no idea. They have no idea that this is an experiment. They've got no idea that there's no data.
Because they just trust.
They're trusting their employer, and they're trusting their government, and it's time to not trust them anymore. Yeah, so I couldn't work there anymore, so I took sick leave, and just September was my last shift, and I didn't go back, and I refused to hand in my certificate. Part of the deal was that you had to hand your vaccine certificate in, and I thought, I'm not playing this game of tyranny anymore. So I offered a hard copy, and which was part of the deal. You could do one of two things. You could give them your hard copy, or you could give them an uploaded certificate onto their secure and safe database. And I read the terms and conditions, and I read their privacy policy, and in their privacy policy it says, we will share your data. I went, well, I'm not doing that. So anyway, they refused. They said, no, you haven't complied, so you're going to be stood down. I got stood down on the 1st of November, And I never went back. They wrote me a stand-down letter, and then I responded to them.
What did it say in the stand-down letter?
Oh, that I hadn't complied with it, 8 directives or however many they sent out. Basically that I'd not complied.